Hey guys, how's it going? It's Al. Every single Friday, we take a look at the slate. This week on DraftKings Week 13 in NFL DFS, I'm going to talk to my chat over on twitch.tv. I'm live 6 days a week during football season. If you didn't know already, you guys can come on over there. It's much easier for me to get to know you there than it is in the comments here, even though I try as best as I can to reply to all of the comments on every video. Obviously, I can't get to 100% of them. I try to at least drop something on there to let you know that I am reading your comments. So thank you guys for watching all season long. We're going to go over everything that they wanted to ask me about this week in terms of value at running back or wide receiver, stacks, how to use a lineup builder, any questions they have, strategy, game selection, whatever is what we go over every single Friday. And you guys seem to like this video because it's more long form. I can really flesh things out as opposed to just giving you a quick hitter that's like 10 to 20 minutes. Like, here's 5 value plays. Like, we can get more into the, you know, the meat and bones of what the slate really is and how it's going to be. If polls are working and my mods can figure that out, we'll go through and we'll have chat pick their optimal quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight end. Although the tight end is probably obvious this week, and give you the skeleton to building a cash game lineup as well, if that's the way that you go. I focus mostly on tournaments. It's all that I play anymore. But cash game should be the core of what you do, especially for those smaller field, super small field, like 10 person, 20 person games where you're going to go mostly off of a cash game core and then correlate it a little bit more so you can get up where the money is on top. So thank you guys for watching. Drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the notifications bell. I know that about 42% of the people who watch this channel are returning viewers that have not subscribed. I wanted to thank you for coming back all the time and watching, but also let you know that 1 or 2 extra clicks on the subscribe and the bell really does help a content creator out on YouTube. So please consider clicking those buttons for me, as it would help the channel grow. And we're approaching 50,000 subscribers here on YouTube. Costs you absolutely nothing. And when we get there, we're going to be doing a fantastic giveaway. Multiple 1-month subscriptions to establish the run. Same thing at rotogrinders.com. Some Underdog swag or tickets, as well as possibly something from DraftKings. We're going to take a look into all of that and start giving that away. But you got to subscribe to win. So click that subscribe button and let's talk about this slate.
He's a legend.
The Smiz Gang Listener League is at 3,000 entries again this week. If we can get it to fill, and we got it to fill last week, they said that they would bump it up to 3,200 next week. $10 entry fee, 3 max. People can only enter a maximum of 3 times. $30,000 in, $30,000 out. No rake. No 10, 12, 15% rake taken off the top by DraftKings. All the money that you put in entry fees comes back out, and a fantastic payout arc as well, with $3,000 up top, 10% of the prize money going to first place, and like 10% of that, $300 going to like the 8th place finisher. So it's kind of a flat payout arc that pays out 25% of the people who play. So a really great way to get in. Best tournament on DraftKings is that tournament. Smizzle.tv/league gets you into that. There is also a pinned comment down below that will have smizzle.tv/league there. And if you click show more in the description, it will also say smizzle.tv/league, and you can click that link to get into the league. The link stays the same every week. Just bookmark it. And then you can just click it every week on your browser and it'll take you right to DraftKings. You can enter. That's the whole spiel. People have said that they've had problems finding it. I don't know how, but there it is. So we got a lot of injury stuff this week, right? There's an awful lot of questionables, an awful lot of people that have already been determined out. Antonio Brown is out. JD McKissick is out. We kind of expected McKissick to be out. Wide receivers, the Giants have Daniel Jones out. They're also going to probably be without Sterling Shepard. He's very doubtful. And then on top of that, Kadarius Toney not going to play. They're in a bad way. And Miami probably going to be the chalk defense this week at 3,300. And I think they're like 4K on FanDuel. So very cheap options in both spots. Kyler's supposed to be back. You know, I limit to 1 running back per game. Usually when I make an exception for Eckler and Mixon. So typically speaking, I do limit. Just like, how can I say this? So the correlation matrix is kind of where all this stuff comes from. If you've never heard of the correlation matrix, it was something that was done by Rotoviz a long time ago. I could probably find it for you and flash it up here on the screen. Fantasy football. It basically shows you how different positions work versus one another, right? So here, found it. Oh my God, I did it wrong. Open in new window. There. Here. So this is the correlation matrix. If you've ever heard me talk about it, this is it, right? So this shows you, I know that some people are like, what the hell is that right now? This shows you how the quarterback correlates with his running back. How the quarterback correlates with his tight end, his wide receiver 2, his wide receiver 3. Positive correlation equals good. Right? And how they correlate with the opponent. Quarterback correlates well with the opponent quarterback, which is why we are willing to use both in Showdown. Quarterback correlates well with the opposing wide receivers and tight ends. Right? This is just kind of how it goes. Right? That's what you're looking for. And the drawback here, it says, like, you know, quarterbacks correlate. It's almost not much at all, right? With their RB1, because this takes into account every single running back and quarterback in history. Okay. Now you can't really do that, right? You can, it shows you overall correlation. However, certain quarterbacks correlate better with their running backs than others, like a pass catching running back who gets 15 to 20% or more of the target market share, the CMCs, the Ecklers, and whatever else. So like if we go back to the correlation matrix and say, okay, well, how does the RB1 on team A correlate with the opponent's RB1? There's like no correlation here whatsoever, right? They just don't mesh. So while I am willing to correlate some quarterbacks with a running back, like an Eckler, like if the Panthers have a viable starting quarterback that week that I think is going to throw it a ton, that means that CMC and the quarterback can both get there. There is a stronger correlation between quarterback and pass catcher on both sides of the ball than anything else. I also think that some running backs break the correlation matrix when it comes to their quarterback as well as one another. So historically, I've been willing to play like Kamara and CMC in the same lineup, because usually if a team is playing so well, a running back does really well, the running back in the other team does not. They just don't correlate well. However, in full PPR with bonuses like DraftKings, you can eat. In half PPR, much tougher. So I might make a small exception for Eckler and, you know, DeAndre Swift, or Eckler and CMC if they were playing, or Kamara and CMC. Mixon, they don't want to throw it to Mixon, although they do throw it to Mixon. And I hope that makes sense, right? And I know that it doesn't really off the top. I'm going to have to explain why. But like, Eckler's going to get thrown the ball every single week, right? So he is what we call a game flow independent running back. If they're winning, Eckler probably was involved in the passing game. If they're losing, Eckler was probably involved in the passing game. Joe Mixon is a little bit different. While Joe Mixon, a lot of his scoring this year has come off of touchdowns, he has a lot of games where he is not included in the passing game. Some games, great. 5 targets, 4 targets. Other games, 0 targets. He gets there in those games because he has a fantastic game running the ball. And in those games, they play slower because they just grind it out and focus on the run. What we're looking for is pass catchers correlate with opposing pass catchers. So if I have a running back who is predictably going to be a 15% market share of the target's pass catcher, and I have another running back that is going to be a 15% plus of the time target share getter, I'm willing to correlate those two, because as we showed, pass catchers correlate with the opponent pass catcher pretty well, and very well with the opponent quarterback. but you have a very specific game script that you need for Mixon at his price and Eckler at his price to get there. And it's much cheaper and more viable to go with one of them and a pass catcher from the opponent, or simply two pass catchers from the opponent. Do the polls work, mods? Are Twitch polls working today? If you can you throw up the cash game quarterbacks, like the 5 highest projected percentage cash game quarterbacks? Not for you? Yeah, this sucks. Like, they work some days and then other days they don't. And I don't know why. Heavy rain in Cincy this week. Exclamation point weather in the chat. Like, I don't really worry all that much about weather, and I definitely don't worry about weather on Friday afternoon. Right? Weather changes, especially when you have 48 hours until kickoff. So we'll start to worry about weather right before kickoff and only in extreme situations. If you're adjusting for weather, you've been wrong more often than you've been right, historically, in daily fantasy. So it's something I pay attention to for sure. It's just not, it rarely affects my lineups. Sometimes, yes. You have some low-hanging fruit, can't decide between Breida and Burkhead. Do we need any more extreme value at running back this week? Didn't McCoy have an amazing game in deep snow? Yes. That was like 5 years ago. It was Philly and the Lions, I think. It was like Philly and the Lions. Deshaun Jackson was on Philly that year. I think Mike Vick was the quarterback. It was 2014 or 2015, like 6-7 years ago. Poll is live. Cash game quarterback. Let's go. So cash game quarterback, they're choosing between Tom Brady, Carr, Heineke, Herbert, and Lamar. So like, we can kind of look at quarterbacks here while that poll's going around. You know, Lamar's had 2 bad games. I think it's a great week to reinvest in him. Jalen Hurts, questionable. So questionable is the new probable. Because the league 2 years ago basically said probable is no longer a tag. You can't say probable. So a player, if they don't practice or they have an injury designation at Friday's practice, they have to be labeled as questionable. So we end up talking about players who are questionable in terms of, are they on the probable side of questionable, or are they on the doubtful side of questionable? All week, Jalen Hurts has said that he's going to play. And we just don't know. But your if-then statement here with Philadelphia goes from a 7K Jalen Hurts to a 4K Gardner Minshew against the Jets. So, like, yeah, Minshew's definitely viable if Hurts is out, right? Like, I don't know. I'm not going to go into, I'm sure people are going to be like, I'm not going to play Minshew. He sucks. He needs to prove it to me. By the time you've seen it, the opportunity for you to take advantage of it is gone. And again, it's the New York Jets. So, like, if Minshew is going to start, if Hurts is out, Minshew is fine. On the other side, Daniel Jones is out, which has opened up Mike Glennon and his neck. I don't know if I'm going here. With no Tony, with no Shepard, against the Miami Dolphins and their blitz-happy offense, or a blitz-happy defense that has been very productive, one of the best at turning over other teams. I think that Miami is going to be like the super chalk defense this week that you may have to consider fading in tournaments. And we'll get to running backs in just a bit. But, like, Quarterback, look at the guys who you think are going to throw for a lot of efficiency. Look at the, and so like Derek Carr going up against Washington, who has allowed a ton of touchdowns this year, is one. Obviously, Lamar, Tom Brady. I think Stafford's going to be fine. We have to monitor the injury situation to Odell Beckham Jr. in that spot. But the chat has spoken. The chat at a 36% clip. So one vote separated Herbert from Carr as the optimal cash game quarterback so far this week. One vote separated them. So we're going to go with Herbert. He's going to be there. I think he is just fine. Gives you more of a rushing floor, right, than Carr does. He will run the ball. He's not a running quarterback, but he is a mobile quarterback. He can add something with his legs, and there's touchdown upside. Multiple bites at the 300-yard bonus on DraftKings. We've seen him get there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. So half the games he's gotten there. Multiple touchdowns in every game except 4, and the rushing upside there. So Justin Herbert is Chat's. That's Chat's guy. For now. He doesn't seem consistent. No, he's been very up and down this year, which to me is perfect as a GPP player because I want the guy who can get 25 plus points, and I want the amount of people on him to, I don't want people to be comfortable, right? Right? So like I want that guy who can get me 25 to 40 DraftKings points, and I want his percentage and the percentage of people double stacking him to be lower because they're scared, right? I love the crossed arms people. I played Justin Herbert and he burned me, so I'm never going to play him again. All right. Go ahead. You go ahead, don't play him again. I'm going to take this on a week by week basis and not divorce myself from players because that's a bad way to play this game. If that's the way you played daily fantasy in basketball, baseball, or NFL, if you just said this guy had a bad score the week that I played him, I'm never going to play him again, you'd have a player pool of like 18 players by the end of a season. Players are up and down. There's variance involved. Things happen. Carr and cash is better this week. I think Carr is the play, personally. But, I don't think Herbert is wrong, right? I think Carr is your optimal cash game from my perspective. Doesn't mean I'm right. I think Carr is the optimal cash game quarterback because he saves you 700 with similar 300-yard multiple touchdown upside that Herbert has. A little bit more consistency in that passing game with a fantastic matchup at 700 less. But that doesn't mean that Herbert is a bad play at his price. Madison isn't a top 5 running back this week? No, because of price and all the value. So running back is weird this week, okay? Running back is extremely, extremely weird this week specifically because Antonio Gibson is projected to moon against Las Vegas. Elijah Mitchell. And Gibson's 5,700 on DraftKings. Elijah Mitchell is 6,000 on DraftKings and projects extremely well. Who else projects really well? Jamal Williams is 5,400 with no DeAndre Swift, so he's going to get 75% of the touches. We know that he is proficient in the passing game. We know that Campbell wants to bite kneecaps and is going to establish the run regardless, and it's not a terrible matchup against Minnesota. James Conner is 5,900. There's a ton of 6K and down guys. Darrell Henderson is 6,100. And we have to monitor the Friday practice report. He didn't practice on Thursday. There is legitimately a chance. I don't know what type of chance, right? I'm not going to give you a number here, but there is legitimately a chance that Sony Michel takes over if Henderson can't go this weekend for the Rams, who are playing at home against Jacksonville and favored. Darrell Henderson 6,100 and projects to be great. Sony Michel is 43 freaking hundred. If Henderson doesn't play, this is the game that Hendo missed against Tampa. Some people are going to look at this number here. They're going to say, oh, he only had 10.9 points. They were playing Tampa Bay. Tampa does not allow a lot of scoring to opposing running backs. They're not playing Tampa Bay this week. They're playing the Jacksonville Jaguars, who, I'm going to give you some hard-hitting analysis here. The Jacksonville Jaguars defense is less good than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense against running backs. That's it. That's the analysis. And if Sony Michel's going to get 20 plus touches with all of the carries inside the 10, because you know that McVay loves running the football once he gets inside the 5 and inside the 10. He's shown this historically for 4 years, including this year, with Henderson, one of the league leaders in terms of inside the 5 carries. And Sony Michel will be involved in the passing game, as he has been in the game that he missed. He's going to be just fine this weekend. He's 4,300. So, like, there's so many plays. There's so many plays under 6K that it's only going to get worse if Henderson misses, right? You're only going to have more plays if Henderson misses. So guys like Madison, who was priced up to 7,600, and Joe Mixon at 8,100, they're going to have depressed percentage in tournaments this week because of all the other running backs that are mispriced. You know? I'm looking at percentage projections right now. There are 6 running backs projected over 20%. Elijah Mitchell, James Conner, Darrell Henderson, Antonio Gibson, Jamal Williams, and David Montgomery. All of them are 6,100 and less. Running back is a value carnival this week. I agree. I mean, look, here's another one that people are ignoring. You want to know which one? And this is, I play craps a lot, guys. Like when I would go to Vegas, and I haven't been to Vegas in a while. I'm going in February for FSGA, so I'm very excited about that. But like, I go to Vegas a lot. And when I go to Vegas, I shoot craps a lot. And on the come out roll, for those of you who have ever shot craps, the first roll of a series, there's you can bet the 11, and it's called Yo 11. So you'd say, whatever your bet is, $10 Yo, $100 Yo, $25 Yo. And then after they establish a point on the come out roll, the puck goes to on from off, and they put it on the number. And there's a saying in craps: the often rolled but rarely bet second roll Yo. Because the croupier, the second roll, after a number has been established, after a point's been established, the shooter will roll an 11. Seemingly, I know they roll it the exact same percentage of the time, but seemingly when you're not on that 11 comes out on the second roll. Often called, rarely bet. This week's second roll Yo is Miles Sanders at 5,200. Jordan Howard is out. They are playing against the New York Jets. He was massive chalk in week 12, and he disappointed so many people. And people are not going to play him this week. I want you to look at chat. Chat is upset. 50,000 numbers. They're very mad right now. And I get it. You guys all played Miles Sanders last week. A lot of you. Especially if you mass multi-entered. You probably had a lot of Miles Sanders last week. And he probably didn't do very well for you. There was a player in week 11 who was massive chalk. Everybody was on this player. He was underpriced. His volume was fantastic. He posted 3.5 fantasy points because we were all on him on that come out roll. We all bet the 11. And then last week, he was like 3% owned and nobody was on him. And that second roll hit. And y'all weren't on him. I was. It's fine to leverage off chalk when it's chalk. Right? Higgins was like 7th roll. He didn't have a bad week on any of these weeks. 13, 13, 13. We were all playing him on these weeks. He was fine. And then the week where he was massive chalk against Las Vegas, he did terribly because it was a mixing week because they got up massively on Las Vegas. And then everybody ran away. The underlyings were still there. The metrics were still there. The volume was still there, right? I mean, I had 3 targets, but like everything was still pointing to the fact that they were going to be a passing team and not throw the ball like 18 times moving forward every single week. And that regression finally came. I'm not saying that you have to play Miles Sanders. I'm just saying what I'm saying. That I wouldn't be shocked if Miles Sanders at 5,100 and I would guess under 5%, this is definitely under 10%, right? I would guess under 5% is an easier way to leverage the field than eating the 20 to 35% chalk on the other 6 guys who essentially are the same guy. You know, I get you're going to play the other guy, but if you want to leverage off in tournaments, I'm not saying he's a cashing play. You're not playing Miles Sanders in cash this week, but like fantastic tournament play. I'm going back to CMC. God damn it. Will Godwin be underplayed this week due to his bad week last week? Probably not. I'd expect him to at least 3x Mike Evans percentage in tournaments. So all that talk about running backs and the chat, how come I can't open this? There we go. The chat has chosen overwhelmingly, mind you, who their cash game running back is going to be this week. So let me plug that guy in. And like you can do whatever you want and you're going to find out why later. But cash game running back decided by the chat, the overwhelming favorite at over 52% of chat wanting Elijah Mitchell. Eli Mitchell never lies. 27 carries, 6 targets this week, 5 targets against Arizona, no Deebo Samuel. No, Eli Mitchell is not going to soak up all of the inside the 10 touches that Deebo Samuel got. He should see an uptick a little bit as they get closer. I would expect Brandon Ayuk to get an uptick as well, maybe take over those little bloop pass or straight jet sweep type runs when they get inside the 10, but not 100% of the Deebo usage because that's still going to stay something that they do around the goal line. But Eli Mitchell should get a few more percentage points towards his percentage of touches inside the 10 and at 6K, this amount of volume against Seattle, who just gave up roughly 870 rushing yards in their last game against Washington and multiple touchdowns, is going to be the extremely popular play. That is chat's cash game lock at running back. Chalk Niners running backs always scare you. Well, luckily, there are 17 other running backs that are viable this week. You can literally play anything. My cash game play is multiple Pirates stealing gold. Yes, it is. I agree. I love gold. Is Cup the slate breaker? I don't know. I don't know how we're going to view that yet. You're going to have your running back pool and set randomness to 75. That's not a bad idea for tournaments. I mean, I'm not like 75. I'm usually like a 5%, 5 to 10% randomness or shuffle, depending on what it is in your builder, or bounce. I'm probably not going to dial it up to 75, but like I know what you're talking about. How often does a player break a slate? I don't know. I don't have like a number for you. Too sharp on the Michelle analysis. Why? Did news just come out that Hendo's out? Thoughts on Jets running backs? I don't have any. I have no thoughts on the Jets running backs. So, like, is there a need? On slates where, like, we're starved a little bit, right? On slates where we're starved for value or starved for plays, it makes sense to go completely off the reservation. I didn't even talk about the running backs that were 6,500 and higher, right? I didn't even talk about them. He's really good. Nobody's going to play him. He's going to be under 10. He also is very good. Nobody's going to play him. One of the best plays of the week. Great leverage off of Brady doubles. Again. Well, if you can't run the ball against the Buccaneers and you have to throw the ball against the Buccaneers, where do you think Cordarrelle's going to get some more usage this week? Like, do we even need him this week? Like, there's so many running backs that are extremely viable, specifically this week. You know, it's specifically this week that there's a lot of running back plays. And what it's doing is the percentages that are going to project and the percentages that I believe are going to end up being that way on Sunday are not going to coalesce around one play. We may have more running backs over 10% this week in tournaments in the Millionaire Maker than any other week this year. Right? That could be a reality. That could very easily be a reality. I want you to do me a favor. If you're watching at this point and you have not dropped a like on the video, take 2 seconds. Pause the video if you have to. Scroll down, drop a like. Let's see if we can break. I usually go with the 10% rule. So if for every 1,000 views the video has, it should have 10% of that in likes. So like for every 1,000, you need 100. If it gets 10,000 views, we need 1,000. So take a look down below. Drop a like on the video. Would greatly appreciate it. Definitely helps out. It also helps out if you like at a place where you normally don't. A lot of people watch the video and they immediately click like. And you love those people. But like, if people were to like at a different point in the video, because the YouTube algorithm is very, very smart, they're like, well, this percent of people always like a video in the first 10 seconds or 30 seconds. Like, I like this guy. I'm going to drop a like on the video because that's what I do. If they start liking it like the 10-minute mark or the 15-minute mark instead of the 60-second mark, YouTube's like, wow, they liked something differently about this video. I'm going to drop a like later. So if you have not liked the video yet and you're still watching, if you're still watching and we're 30 minutes into the video, you like the video. Thank you for dropping a like on the video. I appreciate you. Let's go over to Underdog. Let's take a look at what Underdog has to offer on the pick'ems. Use Al Smizzle at on your first deposit. You get a $100 match. You get, like, if you deposit $100, they give you a free $100. That's a free $100 to bet on the site on all of these different over-unders, whatever you want. Deontay Johnson over 6.5 receptions. Yes. What else can we hit? Let's build. I don't want NBA. NFL only, please. There's just not a lot up here on the board today. Cordell, 72.5 rushing receiving. Mike Evans, 63. That's highly variant. Jamar Chase over 64. Also highly variant, but he can get there on one catch. Joe Burrow over 244.5. Seems low. Jonathan Taylor over 108. Devonta, Zach Wilson, ew. Terry McLaurin, Logan Thomas, 40 yards. Derek Carr, 273. Cooper Kupp, 100 yards. Over. I'll take the over there. He's averaging over that. I'm going to take over there. Lamar Jackson, 302 total yards. Over. I'm going big if I can. There's not enough picks to go really big. Who else? Give me more, chat. What else can we do? Should we go JT? JT against Houston. Yeah, okay, that's what I got. I got a superstar $100 to win 1,000 pick 4. Deontay over, Cooper Kupp over, Lamar Jackson over, Jonathan Taylor over. I'm terrible at pick 'em. Feel free to fade 100% of these picks. Feel free to bet the other side. Do whatever you want. This is just my stupid pick 'em card for the weekend. I'm going to try and win $1,000 over on Underdog Fantasy. Al Smizzle, one word, gets you that deposit match. Can we have a poll on what chalk will fail? No. We don't talk about failure here. We talk about success. We're forward thinking, eyes forward. We're going to win, damn it. Do I like Gaskin this week? I like any running back who gets volume. Always. Volume over everything. You can't see this, but the mods put Renfro, Godwin, Kupp, Ayuk, and Pittman as the cash game lock wide receivers. Totally understand. All good choices this week. But Renfro has the term fall guy next to him because he's the fall guy. Need Deontay as an option? Yeah, but like, who'd you remove? Pittman? You'd have to remove Pittman to do that. Deontay Johnson never gets... Like, DraftKings just hates him, I think. Loves us. It's become a running joke now on the Fantasy Focus podcast, the CSS DFS, which is available wherever you download podcasts. You just follow the Fantasy Focus feed at ESPN. You know the one with Matthew Berry and Stefania Bell? I do a podcast on that same feed with Mike Clay and Daniel Dobb. Comes out every single Thursday. We record it Thursday morning before the stream on Twitch. And so the running joke on that is every week I seem to talk about Deontay Johnson, and I ask Mike, are you projecting Deontay Johnson for 13 targets yet this week? Because projections are typically conservative by nature, right? Because of regression analysis. They tend to be very conservative. So like most projection models are probably going to project Deontay Johnson for like 10 or 10 and a half targets. Even though he's gotten 13 or more targets in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the last 8 games. All he does is get 13 targets. That's it. And judging by his ADOT, if we take 13 targets and multiply that by his expected DraftKings points per ADOT, which is basically 1.65 expected fantasy points per target, we get a projection of 21.45 points. There's nobody in their mind, there's no projection system that is going to project Deontay Johnson at 21.45 DraftKings points, right? There's not a one. But that's well within his wheelhouse. He's averaging 18.2. And you also have Baltimore, who has been very inefficient against deep passes this season. Very bad at defending them on a completion percentage basis, and they allow a lot of touchdowns on deep passes as well. Deontay Johnson has had 4 deep targets in the last 2 games, which is more than he's ever had in a 2-game stretch in his life. So like there, it is part, and we noticed this early in the season, they're taking shots at Deontay, right? 32-yard reception, 36-yard reception, 50, 50, 45. Even with Ben's noodle arm, 41, he's still getting targeted deep downfield. That only gives him big splash possibilities on top of his really high floor. Love Deontay Johnson this week, just like I love Deontay Johnson every single week on DraftKings, and they just refuse to put him. Look at his price. 63, 64, 62, 65. Since this, look at this. Every week, double-digit targets, 65, 64, 67, 69, 68, 66,000 for whatever reason. 66. He's 68 this week. Whatever. Every week, Deontay Johnson for me. But even with what I said there, he was not on the list because he's projected as the 6th highest guy. Chad has chosen Cooper Kupp as their play. Averaging 112.5 yards per game. Has 10 targets. Has not received an end zone target in a couple of weeks. That's going to have to change. He's really good. You got to pay up to get him. But with all the running back value being probably the way that people are going to go, like you could stuff two. You could stuff Cooper Kupp and Jonathan Taylor into a lineup this week. You could certainly get there. I'm just telling you it's possible to do that because there are extreme value wide receivers as well. And we don't even need a poll. I'm not doing a poll for tight end. I'm going to fill it in for chat. There's your cash game tight end. Don't overthink this. This assumes that Waller is out. Okay? Do I like Carr in turns? I like Carr this week. He was the cover boy on top stacks for a reason. Don't overthink this. 2,700. Don't overthink this in cash games. Tournaments, do whatever you want. Right? Tournaments, fading the guy who's going to be 30 to 40% on DraftKings, there's always going to be merit to that. But in cash games, you're playing the island of Foster Moreau. It's 100% the thing that is going to happen. It opens up a ton. I'm assuming that the Dolphins are going to be the cash game chalk against Glennon and the Giants. The Dolphins have been extremely good defensively lately with 5, 2, 4, 5. They blitz more than like any team. 4 turnovers, 2 turnovers, 1 turnover, 3 turnovers. Considering the last 4 games, they get the next man up, the giraffe, Glennon. This should be a 3,800 defense. There are other cheaper defenses if you wanted to go after them, right? And I'm fine with it. But realistically speaking, your best, they're your best defense, which leaves you an average of 5,500. You could get so much volume at running back, as we talked about already, under 5K. If you want to spend up more, you can. There's plenty of value wide receivers that are sub 4K this week. I don't want to go into all of them, but like Josh Reynolds and Zay Jones and like guys of that ilk are certainly in play here. Maybe one of the Rams guys if Odell Beckham Jr. is out. But as usual, the value at wide receiver is still in this kind of range here. There's just so many nasty things you can do. I just talked a whole bunch about Deontay Johnson, right? Okay, we did that. Talked that if Michelle is in, if Henderson is out, then Michelle is in. Talked about maybe at running back, any one of these guys, let's say Connor in this spot, right? That leaves us 5,300 for a wide receiver. Van Jefferson if Odell Beckham Jr. is out. Like, don't want that many Rams in cash, but like there's a lot, right? There's so much you can do this week that it makes it really silly. It's a weird week, and I kind of feel like you're going to get a lot of dupes in your cash game lineups. But like this is essentially where chat is going to start with their cash game lineup. Get rid of Herbert. You have a nice balanced. If you go down from Herbert to like Carr, or if Hurts is out and you're going to go down to Minshew, right? It's all ridiculous. Copy pasting. Understand? I mean, everybody's going to copy pasta something like that. Are there noticeable splits of Jefferson with and without Cook? I haven't looked them up. So I don't know how to, I can't define that for you. We can look it up after the video if you want. Parker needs to activate. So that's the other thing. So like if Devonta Parker plays in this game against the Giants, right? That's another sub 4K guy. Waddle's great and he's up to 6,400. But if Devontae Parker plays in this game, in every game that Devontae Parker has played, he has out-targeted Waddle in all of those games, and he's 3,900. Do I prefer Taylor or Kupp in cash? Probably Kupp because of standard roster builds this week. The sub 6K running back plays are greater than and will project way higher than the sub 6K wide receiver plays. Except for like Parker. Like if Parker's in and he's 100% ready to go in this game, then he's probably going to be in a lot of cash games and should be high in tournaments as well, leaving you with 6K to spend everywhere else. It's ridiculous. It's kind of in tournaments, a play whoever you want week, right? There's too many plays in tournaments for me to tell you you cannot play this guy in a tournament. And in cash games, it's like play the best running backs you can play, and then it's the opportunity cost. Is Cooper Kupp and a 5K to 6K running back better than than Jonathan Taylor and a 5 to 6K wide receiver? And I believe that Kupp plus the cheap running back projects way higher than Taylor and the cheap wide receiver. The Waddle in the end zone. I'm a big fan of Jalen Waddle. Waller ruled out. I mean, we were expecting that all week, right? If that just came through, like on Twitter, yeah, like we've been planning for that all week. We've been planning for McKissick to be out all week. We were not planning for Daniel Jones to be out all week, but like, who cares? 6 minutes ago, yeah, perfect. How is this week going to go way different than we think, just like every week? So, like, you have to make those contingency plans, right? Aside from injury, which you cannot predict, the easiest way is to just look at the players who project to have really good games or really good matchups that people are not thinking about playing. Like we talked about Miles Sanders earlier. That's the way that you can get different. What stack is everybody going to be on? Not specifically this week, right? It's a rhetorical question. Last week, everybody was on Brady double stacks. Everybody. It was like the highest played stack. So how does things go wrong? Play Leonard Fournette. That's the easiest way to get different. Figure out where everybody's going and do the other thing. You want to know how to get different this week? What is going to be the most commonly played lineup construction this week? In tournaments. I'm speaking about tournaments right now because there's no point in getting different in cash. Don't overthink cash. Just play the right plays. What is everybody doing in tournaments this week? This, and probably, I don't know, this, right? Are they projecting as the highest played guys? Those three, right? If, let's just say Henderson's out. Let's pretend that Henderson's out for the sake of this art. This is everybody. This is all of you. Okay? So what can you do to get there? What else is everybody going to do? 40% of the field, 35 to 40% of the field is going to do this. So how do you get different? It's not hard. You want to know how you get different? Here's how you get different. Bing bong. There, you're different now. You're very different now. You're different from the field. You either pay up where other people are not paying up, which forces you to pay down and find value where they're not looking to pay down and find value. Or if at tight end, everybody's going to do this, right, and go to Foster Moreau, how can I get different? Well, I can either pay up at tight end, which forces me to do something different, or I can go to the principal's office, Mr. O'Shag Hennessy. Take a look. It's football. Anything can happen, right? We saw Moreau get 1 catch on 5 targets last week. If you want to get different, instead of, paying up to be contrarian, you can find a same price point pivot and go talk to Mr. Oshag Hennessy and see if you can't get some Dan Arnold usage in terms of snaps played, routes run, targets per route, yada, yada, yada. Targets per drop back, whatever. You know that they're going to be throwing. They ain't going to play from ahead against the Rams. Maybe they will. I doubt it. But that just means that he could theoretically get you between 4 and 8 targets this week, not unlike Dan Arnold. If we just slide him in to the Dan Arnold role, and you remember a few weeks ago, it was week 8 against Seattle, right? And it was like, are you really going to play him? Or like week 5 against Tennessee, are you really going to play Dan Arnold? Dan Arnold's not good. I don't care about who's good. I'm not a player evaluator, right? I am not a player evaluator. I'm a volume evaluator. And I care about how often does this team target the tight end? How many passes are they going to be throwing? What percentage of the time does the tight end run a route as opposed to staying into block? And if Dan Arnold was great at 28, 29, 28, 34, 35, and we were playing him in all these weeks, why would we not play the principal stepping into that same high volume role, and in week 1 when he was the starter, got 8 targets? We've already seen Oshag Hennessy in this same role. How many replies am I going to get on YouTube chat? It's not pronounced Oshag Hennessy. It's pronounced O'Shaughnessy. How many of those? Like, what's the over-under? 2.5? You said it. We'll get Underdog to put it up. Promo code ALSMizzle. You done messed up, Ron. Easy over. Anyway, guys, that's going to do it for this week. Look out for the 5 under 5 that comes out at 7 a.m. Eastern time, 4 a.m. Pacific time tomorrow. It is going to be a fun video. Not as great of talent because everything's going to be spread out this week, so there's not really high correlation on the big guys and leaving us some really juicy bites at the apple down at the bottom. But there are some good players on that list that I think have a chance to kind of be quite interesting. So thank you guys for watching. Drop a like, subscribe to the channel. Look for another video right here.
He's a legend.